Hi, it's Chris here on Narrowboat Poppy on a horrible cold Wednesday morning. Well, Wednesday dinner time. Uh, I- I'm always looking at boats. I really like a 70 footer. This is 57, so I'd like a 70, the biggest boat you can possibly get. I'm always looking, never stop looking. And I just want to discuss the implications of buying a boat and what you have to go through. The first thing is obviously how much money you got available, because they aren't cheap. I mean, the bottom end of the market, you're probably talking £20,000 up to 130, £140,000 for a new one. So obviously, it's how much what your budget will stretch to. Then you've got to think what sort of boat you want. There's a trad, cruiser, semi-trad. Basically the sterns, the cruiser. There's loads of room there for family and socialising. But to me, there's a lot of area wasted. Then you got like the semi-trads, which there's a little bit of room for people to sit down. But I went for the trad with Poppy. I wanted the more cabin space as possible, so Poppy's a trad. Even though there isn't much room on the back, there's a seat and two people can sit on it, no problem at all. So you got to sit down and think what sort of stern you want. Then obviously it goes on to what size you want as well. I mean, they start off at 25. There isn't many of them. They start off basically at 30 foot, 40, 50, 55, 57, 60 and 70 foot. So you've got to think what size you want, and obviously the bigger the boat, the more costly they are to buy and also to keep as well. So I mean, 40 foot's a nice size for a weekend boat, and you can spend some holidays on it. My other boat was a 40 footer, and it was okay. It's not big enough to live on, but you can go out weekends and the fortnight on it, no problem at all. And that boat was a cruiser stern. Well, like say, I wanted a trad, because obviously we're going to spend a lot more time on the boat, and I wanted the more cabin room the better. So a trad, like say, it's all solid cabin room up to about 4 foot at the back where you stand. So like I say, you've got to have a good look round, go around these boat yards and have a good look and mess around. I mean, some boat yards will just throw you the keys. You can have a really good look. Obviously, you're going to learn a lot as well by doing that. But some of them, they go with you, and obviously you're very limited how much you can strip down of it. But you can still have a good look. Like I say, there's loads of magazines. You can read up about them, and you can find a lot about them. So, like I say, it's then go around as many boats as you possibly can. Even if you travel up and down the country, they're all on the internet, and it's well worth travelling around. It does get very tedious, because you don't think you're ever going to find the right boat, and suddenly you'll come on it, and that's it. You fall in love with it. So basically, you've got to find what stern you want, what back you want, the length, and the layout, and how much money you're willing to spend. Like I say, the new boats, they're going up to ridiculous figures now. They're like 130, £140,000. That's some of the boats were at Crick last year. Went to have a look, and I wouldn't pay that because in 12 months, 2 years, they drop down thousands. And like I say, they're very expensive. So, like I say, that when you've got your finances sorted out, you find out what sort of boat you want and the length, then you start making some serious decisions. Another factor is with boats is the engine. You're better off with a Beta, Vitesse, or a dead common Itsui. They're a common engine. My 40 footer, it had an Italian engine, and I never heard of it, and it never did play up. But I was told if there's any problems with that, you just got to take the engine out. You can't fix it, so that worried me. That did. Every time it started making a funny noise, I started panicking. So you've chosen your boat, your size, then you've got to get a survey done on it. Strongly recommend you have a survey. I've known people buy these boats, brand new engine. There's one bloke a few years ago, he bought this boat. It was 20 odd years, I think it's 20 odd years old. Well, it must have been over 25. Brand new engine. Anyway, it come to 25 years, and the insurance company specified that you have a whole survey done on the boat. So he got it out, and it was rotten as a pear, basically. His wife was there with him, and she screamed off in the car. She wasn't amused at all. It cost him many £1,000s. So what they have to do in that case is they have to replate him. And obviously that's not a particularly cheap job. So he wasn't. So I strongly recommend you get a survey done on it. It's about £300-400 a whole survey has. And like I say, you're looking at £1,000. You've got to get the boat out. You've got to get a survey bloke done on it, which is about £300-400. Then when you got it out, you might as well have it blacked and put new anodes on. So you're knocking £1,000 up on not much. That's what I always used to reckon anyway. Like I say, this is my third boat, this says. So once you've made a decision, you have to put a deposit on the boat. It's usually 10%, and you've got to make sure you've done the right thing, because a lot of these boat yards, it's non-returnable. So you can't get cold feet halfway through the deal. And the next thing, once you've got the finance all done, is you've got to find somewhere to moor it. Canal side, marinas. Most boats now go into marinas. A few years ago, the Canal River Trust said they wanted to do away with the waterside moorings and get people in the marinas, which is fair enough. They're a lot more secure. You can take your boat out whenever you want, and they've got electric water, and so they're a lot better. But you have to shop around for the price. I mean, when you're talking 57 foot, it's nearly £3,000 a year. It's not particularly cheap. And obviously, if you've got a 40 footer, the cost of it comes right down. So that's another massive factor, that is. And the licenses go on the size as well. I mean, this one's just over £800 a year. And I think the 41's about £300 or £400, I don't know, but they're not as much. So, like I say, it's another big factor. And also, if you get a big boat, you've got to think of do you want a bow thruster on it? They make life a lot easier. You don't need them on 40 footers. It's like when you're talking 55, 57, 70 footers. So that's another thing. And another couple of batteries to run it. So, I mean, Poppy's got 7 batteries on, and I've had to replace them all this year, and it's cost me about £700. It's got 6 domestics and 1 starter. They're about 7 years old, so I knew that it was coming, but it still hits. Poppy's got a 3 kilowatt inverter on, so obviously you want a good supply. The bigger the inverter, the better. Some of them have got built-in generators, but obviously the trouble with generators is you can't run them after hours because you're going to annoy other boaters. So, like I say, you're better off with a good inverter. And once you've got your moorings and the boat's in place, obviously you've got insurance. That's another £350. So it's not cheap. And what I do with Poppy is I have her blacked every other year. Now, there's no written down rule on that, but like I say, I think every other year it's £800 to £900, and if the anodes need changing, it's £1,000. And I have it out next June, and it'll probably need new anodes, so that's going to be £1,000. But like I say, it's got to be done. And like I say, it's you've got to keep them warm as well. I spend probably about £100 a month on coal, but you got that same problem with houses. So, like I say, it all comes. You've got to sit down and work the figures out, and see what boat you can afford. And obviously, the bigger the boat, the harder it is to handle. Like I say, if you come in the marine and the wind takes you on a 57-foot boat, you haven't got much control, but on a 40, it'd be a lot easier. So, like I say, you've got to read about it, and there's hell. I could talk all day about boats. It's never ending. So, like I say, I've just looked on the internet for some 70-footers, and they're lovely. But like I say, it's a big thing, and they do go. Decent boats do sell very, very well. So, hope it's helped you, and as I say, keep looking and keep reading, and have a great day, and please subscribe. Thank you.